line. And so, you know, he didn't have a lot of mobility, you know, like a lot of linemen might have, but, you know, he would just get in there and plug up the hole, you know.
People had to trip over him.
Which was, yeah, they'd trip over him to get around him.
But during that same period, his father was encouraging him to try another sport, which would at least match him with kids his own weight, wrestling. Kyle started in 6th grade and lost his first 35 matches.
I was extremely discouraged. I don't think that anybody could go through, you know, that period without doubting themselves in some way if you're a true competitor. I wanted to win.
This footage from Kyle's high school career shows one of the ways his opponents learned to take advantage of him. They kept a hand on his head to prevent him from reaching them.
And they try to spin around behind. And by doing that, you know, I obviously don't have that reach to get out there and grab hold of the leg quite as easily.
They would stay away. They would push off and just stay away. So, no, we got in there and yelled.
Kyle and his father, a former wrestler, worked out an extensive weight training program for him. To this day, because of the strength he built, he has never been pinned. Collins Hill High School coach Cliff Ramos helped Kyle invent his own unique moves, including one called the rope-a-dope.
He would just kind of lay there on his back, and pretty soon they would come after him, and then he would spring into action.
Keep moving your head, Kyle.
Ramos became a mentor to Kyle, and Kyle paid him back by learning to win, with 35 victories on the varsity squad in his senior year.
If you lose, it's all on you. And, you know, wrestling is, it's a brutal sport in that way, but then, you know, the victories are so much sweeter too. And because of that, you know, I learned so much about myself. If you can persevere through that, then, you know, anything is truly possible. And I believe that, you know, deep down in my heart.
And there was times I'd look at him towards the end of his time here, and I'd have to turn around so my team wouldn't see me with tears in my eyes.
At wrestling dinners, where Kyle's success had made him famous, Ramos also revealed other sides of his prize pupil.
He went on a church trip a few years ago to the beach. He got his buddies to put ketchup all over the ends of his arms. They laid him near the water, and they ran away, and they started screaming, "Shark, shark!"
Kyle travels in a wheelchair. He rejected using prosthetic devices, in part, he says, because without them as a child, he was able to play so freely with his sister Amber, the oldest of 3 sisters and his best friend. In Ireland, where Kyle was invited to speak, the family came across the estate of an adventurer named Arthur Kavanagh, a congenital amputee like Kyle, who in the 19th century became an expert horseman, traveled the world, went tiger hunting in India, and left behind 6 children. You say in the book, I wouldn't want my children to face the same adversity. Why not?
It's scary, you know, I'm told that, you know, if I have children that they'd be completely normal, but, you know, I'd be scared to, you know, have the children, not for the children necessarily, but for, you know, maybe for me. Maybe it's my own insecurity and the fact that, you know, I'd want to provide the best life possible for my kids.
One of his crowning achievements came when he qualified in his senior year for the Georgia State High School Wrestling Championships. Competing against the best, he won 3 of his matches. He was wrestling with a broken nose, and his final opponent sometimes used moves against it that caused excruciating pain. By the 3rd period, additional damage to his nose was causing blood to run down his throat. A final attempt to gain a pin failed, and the end of the match was also the end of his high school career. Coach Ramos was the first to reach Kyle after the loss.
People just stopped and applauded, and it went on, and I just kind of reacted, and I went out there and I wanted to pick him up and put him on my shoulders, but I'm not getting any younger. It was a pretty emotional time for me.
Kyle, who now drives back and forth between home and the University of Georgia, where he's a student, has a lot of ambition. He'd like to coach. He'd like to work as a broadcast commentator. He's now entering jiu-jitsu tournaments and is booked for speaking engagements. But if you ask him or his parents, they will say their goal has simply been to lead a normal life. But is there really a good definition for that word, for normal, what normal is?
Just to lead that normal life, to me, means just to go about things day to day as if they don't matter, as if the obstacles I face aren't there. Leading a normal life doesn't mean living a stagnant life. You're going to look ahead and you're going to set near impossible goals that other people would say you can't achieve, and you can go out and do it.